There we are. I think we're good. I think we're back. My phone doesn't want to say we're back. Does your phone say we're back, Robbie? I don't know.
Yes.
Yes. Beautiful. All right. Sorry about that. We pushed it, and as I said, guinea pigs this morning. So where were we? We were playing with Polyfuse. So I've just come back and to drawing up this leaf again because I did one side of it and I didn't do a very good job. There we go. So I've drawn that back on. I used the one we did the applique on last time, and then I can turn this over. Oh my goodness, now which leaf was it? I think it's this one here. See, what did I say to you? You've got to pin. You've got to pin it so you know which one. Okay, it's that one. All right. So I'll cut this one out. Did you manage to go and get a cuppa? I hope you did. At least put the kettle on. All right. And we'll cut this down. Okay. That's going to go on there, and that's going to go there. As I said, the great thing about the Polyfuse is that it stays in. You don't have to take it out. And it's nice and sticky, so it's going to stick to the fabric that we're using as well. When I come to use the Polyfuse for this sort of work, I'm going to treat it the same as what I was talking about for the raw edge one. There is that opportunity to have one part of the leaf sit under the other. Now this part here is the thicker bit of the leaf, so I'm going to use this with my Polyfuse to cover all the sides, and then the other thin bit that's on the leaf down here, I'll only fold under the side that's going to sit on the outer side of the leaf because the other bit is going to sit and nest underneath this piece here. Okay. Now I need to choose my fabric. So unlike with raw edge applique, in this case, all of the edges go under like a good old-fashioned needle turn where you turn all the seam allowance under. So in this case, you can pretty much use anything, on top of the fact that the adhesive on the Polyfuse stabilises your fabric. So even if you wanted to work with something like linen, a fine linen or silk, it's all going to work. So I'm going to cut a little slither here. I'm going to lean right across and grab my mat again and bring it in. And with the shiny or the sticky side down, I'm going to pop it in here. Here we go. Okay, now I'm going to cut this out with a nice scant 1/4 inch. This is when I realised I've left that tool, my favourite tool, up in my office, but I can live without it, which is my orange stick, my manicure orange stick, to fold under all of my, fold over all my edges. But I think we'll be able to manage it with my chalk pencil or my pencil that I've got here. With a little pair of scissors, if needed, come back through and pop, you just want little clips in on the inside curves. If you get really quite severe outer curves, you can clip those as well, but this is all we need to do for this leaf piece. As I look down here, I can probably take a little bit more off, and you want those clips to go in just a couple of threads before it hits the paper or the Polyfuse. All right. I'm looking at this side and I really want to impress you with this, so I'm going to take them down a bit further. just while Rob just handed this to me too, and I'd forgotten. There are 2 codes for today. Boxing Day, everything's going to be under there until midnight. Trio, from the 1st of January, will just have everything that's in today's shows because the Boxing Day sale will finish. I'll just leave that there for you for a tick. So I've got all that ready to go, and then we're going to grab our glue stick. Now I'm treating myself to a new one. When you buy your glue sticks, they're great value because they've got one inside the glue stick when you open it, and then you've got a spare. So you actually get 2 cartridges of glue. I like to pop my glue onto my paper. I'll just move this board out of the way now because I need a firmer surface. I like to pop mine on the paper rather than on the fabric, and that's just a good habit for me to get into, because if I start putting glue on this side that's got all those little tabs on, you can start to distort and fray your little fabric tabs before you fold them over. So I'll pop that on there. As I said, best thing I've got, I was kind of hoping Rob would hear me, but I don't think he did, is just as a general hint, I'm going to use my scissors instead. So just fold the edge of your fabric up and over. Just move along about 1/4 of an inch at a time and fold it up and over. There we go, like that. You really do sort of hone in on the important things and your tools when you start doing finer work like this. I'm all for a good cheap. Oh look, I got blue glue on my linen panel, which is fine because it dries white, clear. I'm all for a good cheap glue stick for doing quite a few things, but when you get down to stuff like this, it's really nice to have a good quality glue stick because they dry quick, and that's what you want. You want to be able to fold that fabric over and have it stick. Now you can see here there's quite a large overlap on the end of the leaf. So we'll trim that off like that, and then we can start again. So now I need to put a little bit onto this tip up here of the leaf so it will fold over and down onto itself, I suppose you would say, and then we can run our glue down the other side. I would like you, and I've said it before to those that watch all the time, I would love you to Google Renaissance Revival and Renaissance Revival quilt, because it is Maria Waters' quilt, and also just Maria Waters' Victorian Showcase winner, because those quilts are all done with Polyfuse. Maria is the queen of Polyfuse, and you need to see what you can achieve. All right, now I'm down to my little tabs, so I can just fold over one at a time, like that, down to the end. And again, as I get down here to the end, I shall just pop a little bit onto the fabric and get all of that over. When I flip this over, you can see I've got an overhang here again. So the thing about this, the glue stick too, is it's so good because it's almost like working with modelling clay as you get towards the end, and I can go through and take off that whole overlap bit underneath with my small pair of scissors. Look at that for a point down there. So that piece now is going to go there. And you can see this is where that it's important that You make sure that when you're doing that tracing from the back that you just come out to the outside edge so that you make sure you cover up the drawing that's on the print that's on the panel. Now, I'll do another one probably in herb to go on the other side here. And then I've just got this really lovely contrasted leaf. When I do the herb bit, as I said, or when I do the other side, I will actually cut it out a scant quarter of an inch bigger on this side so that that one will overlap into this one. I love you, long time. Shtick. Oh, there was 20 in my desk. Yeah, there is in the box. Never mind. I'll show you where they are later. Rubby butter stick. All right, so this is the best tool. This is just at the supermarket, whatever. It's just great because look, you just use it to push them over, and the flat end is fantastic for pushing it all down and getting a really good, it's like a mini seam press. Look at that, it's fantastic. All right, and then you've got the pointy end if you need it as well to push up into corners. I love it. All right, I've just realized I haven't trimmed this corner either. So let's take this one off. So yep, there's going to be a raw edge under there, but it will be concealed when we slip stitch it down. So that's that side. And then I'll do the other side around here in the herb with the overlap, that little 1/4 inch overlap under there. Now, you might decide that that's it for you, just the applique on its own, but don't forget you've also got these great packs with the threads as well. So if you wanted to come through and further embellish, you could. So all of these are going to work beautifully over the top. If you wanted to add in some veins, perhaps you want to do the double. Perhaps you'd like to do the needle turn method or the Polyfuse method and then still come through and blanket stitch on the edge. You might like to put them on and then do a chain stitch right around the edge of your leaves. And if you were to do that round here, like what we did before, where I would bring my thread up on is still on that line. And then I would have half of my my chain stitch sitting on the background and half of it sitting up onto the leaf. And that's going to sort of add a beautiful edge to your leaves as well. So that's another idea for you. With the applique, whether it's raw edge or whether it's pre-shaping with the Polyfuse, there are so many options for you to use. First of all, the little hood or a little gum nut that's on the top, always make sure if you're doing the applique to add that extra 1/4 inch down here so that it sits underneath whatever you decide to do with the top of the flower. If you're doing applique onto here, you could pop it on raw edge like we did on the second one, and then you could come through and, as I said, run that chain stitch, stem stitch, whatever, right round the outside of it to secure it. But you also might like to run chain stitch up through here over the top of your fabric to give it a beautiful texture in the variegated thread. So there's many options for you. If you are experienced with applique, then you might decide to break down that particular, like one of the heads, into quite a few different fabrics. You can layer up one fabric after the other over the top. And the same with the raw edge. There's quite a few things that we can do with raw edge with little slithers of all of the fabrics. So that, my friends, is for next time. I've given you enough to think about for now. Now, I'm not suggesting that you go out necessarily. Go out. You can't go out. You got to sit at your desk to order from me. I'm not suggesting you have to have one of these panels to do this work. I'm sure you've all got something in your stash that you could work with. You might have a pre-printed stitchery that you've decided you don't want to do as a stitchery anymore. You may decide that you want to do it as an applique. You might have a drawing of something that you want to put onto a piece of linen or cotton and work with it yourself and create your own little masterpiece. All of those things are going to be possible for you, I am sure. So I hope all those little techniques, just showing you through these, are going to give you some inspiration of what you can do over this lovely kind of January period. Now, the big guy. The big guy. Let's have a look. So with everything that we've talked about so far with the other three, let's look at what we're going to do with this big one here. Camera 2. So for me, for this, there's really only one option. I want to do this with Polyfuse. It has to be Polyfuse. For me, I really want to do it as an applique, and I want to do that chain stitch around the edge. So while I was telling you about the other options, now I confess it's because that's why I want to do this one this way. Now, the great thing about this one is we're really going to get to showcase all these different fabrics. At the new Chandler's Cottage, the new home of Chandler's Cottage, to my absolute delight and joy, big red waratah at near the front gate. And while it's all wonderful, it now needs a very, very severe prune for it to ever work again, because we're redoing all of that garden bit. So I'm going to prune it and hope it's okay, but it's a great excuse to plant more because they do really well here in Gippsland. But when we actually, have a look of where we're going to put our reds, for example, for this big panel, again, I would suggest hop on the internet. They're not in flower at the moment. Hop on the internet and have a look. There's thousands of photos of beautiful waratahs, and have a look at where the shading falls in each of them. From what I can see, and from the ones that we had here, it really does run dark to light from bottom to top. You can't see that, but I have a spider climbing. Mate, you're so small. Go that way. Just go hang over there. He's come all the way from the ceiling down. He's spinning in front of my eyes. All right, so when we have a look at these, I've got this one here that really is a bit of a feature, and I've got these beautiful dark reds here. So I think that I will use predominantly for these big petals down here. And I hope you can see the difference. So the ones that actually look like a leaf, like a gum leaf, these are actually the petals at the base of the flowers. And then the ones that have all the vein details with the spiky edges on them, they are the leaves, okay? So I am going to use perhaps these darker ones for these big ones around here. I might add in maybe just a couple of the really lovely bright patterned ones as well, but I'm going to keep it darker rather than lighter for all these big ones. And then I'm going to champion this beautiful burnt orange as I get towards these top ones up here. So the top ones for me are probably going to be sort of getting towards this lighter effect up into here. And maybe a couple of these in here. So I suppose I'm setting myself a rule that I won't use the orange down on the big petals, and I won't use the darkest red up on the top ones. And that way I'm hoping it's going to give me that little bit of distinction between them. The other thing too, with whenever we've done waratahs, and the girls in my applique club did this as well with me, and things that, we work our way down. So when we did the applique sampler one, this was actually ruched, and we added the 3D and the flat petals over the top. But the same applies with this. I'm going to work down for these parts up here, because this one here, it's all that overlap bit. So this little one here, he's overlapped by the ones on either side, and then he's overlapped by this one. So we're going to work our way down. So there is a lot of fun to be had. Find my pencil. Working out the order to add them. So this, to me, this is a number 1, and this is a number 1, because they don't overlap anyone else. These guys overlap him, and these guys overlap him. So you just kind of have a little bit of a play as you go and work your way down. This little guy here is so small, but he is so important. So, and to me, he needs to be kind of a little bit of a feature. So what do you think? Shall we do this one? The tiniest little one, shall we do him in the feature print? I think we will. We will. We'll do him in the feature print. So work these ones first, and then, you know, the stem's going to go on as well first because it sits underneath these. And I'm going to work my way down. So I'm going to start this now, and then I will come back to you towards the end of the month, and we're going to come back and talk about where we're at and how we're having a play, and I can show you sort of progressive bits as I go. For now though, I'm going to be really naughty. I'm going to grab my Polyfuse. Now we all know that I need the reverse of this, so I need to flip, pop it on a light box, or have a look, just this one. This one comes through as well, but I'm just going to cheat. You know I'm really bad for that. And I'm going to trace this off. He's quite symmetrical, so I think I can pretty much get away with drawing him on the right side, and he'll be pretty much the same on the other side. Okay, so see how that's drawn on? Now, he has got 3 other guys that overlap him. So I'm going to add a 1/4 inch to the 3 sides, like that are overlapped. So we'll chop. And we'll cut this down. Wrong scissors. Oops. Like that. There's nothing else that small, is there? We can get rid of those. Right. Oh, I've just seen something I need to tell you about on the floor too. And pop that on there. Quick iron on. It wasn't a good enough iron on because it lifted. All right, that's better. You can sort of feel it when it hits. Okay. So see what I've done? I've drawn on those little extra bits, and that's so I know that's the side that's going to sit flat underneath these other ones here. So what I can do with this is I can cut it flush up against the paper on those overlap sides, and then I can add my 1/4 inch. When you're getting the hang of this, sometimes you sort of cut the wrong bit and everything. The beauty of this is it's such a teeny weeny little bit that you can just quickly cut out another piece. You know, it's not going to be the end of the world. I think I need these back. All right, round on our paper. Grab our orange stick or your pointy stick. Give it a good squish. That's all down there like that. Just give him a little press so he's nice and flat. And then that is our first little bit that's going to go on there. So I'm going to pop a little more glue now and sit him there. I'll add an extra little pin in, and then all I need to do with this is slip stitch round that edge up there, and then I might just add a couple of little tacking stitches around these edges to hold that down. And then when I'm ready, I can come back and I can see which one goes on next. Because I can't pop this one on, I need to pop that one on first. And I need to put this one on first. But I can pop this one on because he sits over this one and under these three. It is so much fun working out which one goes on next. And if you get them all ready to go in one go, then you're going to be able to sit down and just start slip stitching, and popping them on. What I might do, I'm in two minds about it because I'd love for you to see the process of them all going together, but if I start stitching them all down, we might lose that. So what I might do is actually slip stitch all of these together without popping it onto the background. I'll see how I go, because I can actually do that and create sort of this whole head section in here, and I can sew it down en masse. That's going to be okay for me because I have every intention of coming back and chain stitching around each one. So as I chain stitch around each one, it's going to sew down through the applique pieces and through the linen, and it will secure it in place. If I don't do that, there's just going to be this big, you know, quite stiff bulk to start with that's not going to sit nice and flat on the linen. So that's one option for me. Now you'll note I haven't backed my linen for this big piece, and I would only need to do that, I would think, if I was going to just stitch it and embroider it. To me, this is going to be fine to work with the Polyfuse because it's nice and flat and it's firmer than just using fabric. So that's the way I'm going to do it. Now, of course, if you wanted to, you could use the raw edge applique method that we talked about earlier as well. But if you did want to grab one of these or do this with the, you know, what am I trying to say? I don't know. I'm not trying to say. You want to do this, pop the weft on the back if you're just going to do it as a big stitchery, because you want that stability for it. These leaves are bigger, so you might want to look at using a hoop. And if you decide to do these with the raw edge on your machine, then please grab your hoop and make sure that you do pop the satin around it so it doesn't damage it. Well, if you're going to do it by hand or machine with the blanket stitch, make sure that you wrap your hoop so it doesn't damage your applique pieces. I've managed to confuse myself because I was trying not to confuse you, and there are so many options that you can use. So you've got full stitchery, you've got raw edge applique, you've got needle turn or needle turn with your Polyfuse that you can use. There's lots of different things you can do with them. I do know there are 3 or 4 people out there that have just bought this particular panel, and they have just used it as it is with the black outline to make cushions, because they're putting them on a contemporary modern couch. They have just put a stabilizer on the back, and that is their cushion. So I suppose it's from everything from doing nothing to doing quiet sparrows, or doing absolutely everything to make it as embellished as you like. But for me, I want this appliqued. I want it up on a wall with probably a nice rust red frame around it by the end of June, so it's ready to go with me to Birmingham, and I need 3 cushions done and the trio together by then as well. So I've started, and I will be sure to be back and share with you my progress, and if you want to join me, then please do, see how you go. And for those that are doing their Southern Jewels, their large kaleidoscope sunburnt country quilt and wondering what's happened to mine, well, I've unpacked my whole studio now and I have found it, so I'll be back onto mine as well to get it done this year to go with all of this. 2 other things, if you decide to do your blanket stitch on your machine, then you'll want to pop a stabilizer on the back, perhaps, that you can tear away later, and that's your other option as well. So if you wanted to do that, then we've got lightweight tearaway in stock, and we only had that left, but more arrived finally, so that's really great. So we've got tearaway as well. That's going to go in your hoop with the flat side at the bottom for you to do on your machine. We'll look at that next time also when we come back to these. And we have done that a lot before, I know. So we've got that. And the other thing too, just to mention, is Mum was down yesterday with Dad helping us propagate, well, they're both here helping us do some propagating of some of the fuchsias in the garden. And Mum dropped off a heap of beautiful new Pam's Creative packs. So if you are looking for just a fun little inspiration pack, these are all of our little end of bolts, after cutting kits and everything. Mum takes them all home and makes them into beautiful little packs like these. They're $10 each and they're endless fun. So we've got some of those. Sorry, my mic's probably too close to those for you. And as I mentioned yesterday, we did film the bake section for our 2024 calendar in the kitchen. I had to clean up the kitchen. So that's been done, and tomorrow morning I'm going to, there'll be no hangover tonight. Tomorrow morning we'll film the make section, which is for the Bird of Paradise cushion to go with it, with the Mulva muffins. So they will both go up around midday tomorrow. It won't be super early, it'll be about midday Australian Eastern Standard Time, and then they'll go up on the 1st of each month. We've got a few calendars still to get out for people, so they've got them to work on, and those videos will go up on YouTube, on the Channels Cottage YouTube channel, so they're there all year for you to have a look at. They're not going to be like from complete start to finish of each project. They're going to cover all the key things that you need to know, and for those of you that perhaps are unfamiliar with the techniques I've used, they're going to give you a really good kickstart. Now, ironically, tomorrow's is raw edge applique, so we'll be covering a lot of that and using the Teflon applique ironing mat and also using steamer seam tomorrow, so you might want to have a look at that once they're up. I also promised to pop up a kit only option for the calendar for next year, because a lot of you have grabbed the calendar and then some of you have decided that perhaps instead you would like to grab the whole set of kits. So as well to go with it. So that's been popped up for you, and you've got all of the kits in there. So that's available on its own. They're all in there. I've shown them to you before and I need to put the photos up still. So that's up there. And also tomorrow we will pop up on its own just the kit, everything that you need to make the Bird of Paradise cushion. And the pattern that's in the calendar is released as a hard copy and a digital copy. We've done that because once we get further down into the calendar, people may not want the whole calendar, but we will offer it all year, because even as a pattern recipe book, it's much better value to buy the whole calendar, of course, than just the individual patterns. So it's going to be a personal preference, but they'll go up tomorrow as well. I think that's it. Got a bit serious there, didn't I? I have managed to trash the table, and to me that is a sign of a lot of fun that's been had. So thank you very much for joining me this morning 2 times. And if you are watching on YouTube, please remember that your keyword, because after today, your keyword to find everything on our website is trio, for everything that we've featured this morning. And of course, if you've got any questions, please don't hesitate to contact me at info@chandlerscottage.com, and we will do our absolute best to help you. I always forget to mention the muffin liner wraps. You get a pack of these with your calendar as well for your February project when we make our eggy sponge cakes. I always forget. They're in there as well. All right, you enjoy the rest of your day, won't you? And if you have watched us on New Year's Eve, have a fantastic day tomorrow. Are you a go to bed early so you're ready for the new year kind of person, or do you have to stay up until the end? I am usually a go to bed, so I'm ready to get up early and start the new year, but not tonight. There will be a little bit of shenanigans, and I need to stay up until midnight to finish off our Boxing Day sale. Oh my goodness, I hope we all have, you and me, the most fantastic 2024 together. And I hope it's full of lots of fun, adventure and good health for you. All right? Thank you very much for joining me this morning. And it's sad to go, but we've got to get outside and do some gardening. So I'll catch you. When will I see you? I will see you, I would think, Thursday evening. All right? Take care, won't you? Bye.